Here we have the daily price chart for Solana cryptocurrency, ticker SOL. This is the daily chart that's tracked in relation to the US dollar. Okay, so here we have another one of the altcoins. And as we know, if you've been watching my prior videos, you'll know that we have been expecting a major decline in cryptocurrencies here for a while now. And some of the altcoins are faring a bit better than Bitcoin currently. I would have to say overall, I'm relatively impressed with Solana's ability to kind of hold up here. I would say that we haven't really broken through some of the major support zones in the same way that we've seen in the other cryptocurrencies. I mean, you could point to Bitcoin and Ethereum and see that fairly major support breaks have already occurred. But for the most part, this is Solana has managed to hold up. Uh, Probably better than expected. I think we would have to acknowledge that. Overall, the reason that I'm saying this is because we have managed to uh, form a fairly solid support zone here, just above 122, as we can see here. This would really be a quadruple bottom. So, in other words, this is a price zone that has been tested 4 times to the downside, and has managed to hold. The only problem here is that I do expect this level to break. Um, I don't think that we can hold up under a fifth test. I mean, it's kind of like you're trying to knock a door down with a battering ram or something like that. If you just keep doing it, eventually that door is gonna come down. And the same tends to be true for support and resistance levels. If you just keep pushing at this level, keep pushing at it, eventually you're going to grind through all the orders that are placed there. And at some point, that zone is not going to hold up anymore. I would say, it's given it, a pretty strong effort here. We've seen this tested 4 times. You don't really see quadruple bottoms very much. It's usually more of a double bottom scenario or maybe a triple bottom scenario. But this is 4 clear tests to the downside. And so far, we have managed to hold up. There are a couple of problems here, though, and I'll explain why I believe that this level is going to break. It's mostly due to the fact that we do have a series of lower highs here. So ultimately, what we have as far as chart patterns would be concerned, we have a descending triangle pattern. So it's sort of a bearish triangle pattern here. Which is undeniable. I mean, these are lower highs, and then you've got a fairly consistent base to the triangle. So that would be a descending triangle pattern. It does generally project lower prices, but you do need to see a clear break in one direction or the other in order to confirm that the price pattern is played out. So, if you do see a break to the top side, that would invalidate the pattern, and then you would expect a retest of the prior highs. But we're putting a lot of pressure under this base here, and I just don't see how this is going to hold up much longer. So we've got this series of lower highs here. We've got a descending trend pattern here in the relative strength index. This suggests that the overall momentum that's influencing this cryptocurrency is currently focused on the downside. So we've got negative momentum, lower price highs, and then in addition to that, all of that, you've got the fact that we really are breaking through the exponential moving average cluster on the daily chart. So that makes it more significant. These daily moving averages tend to be a lot more significant than what you would see on the shorter term time frames. So, here in recent trading sessions, we can see that this blue line here has been broken. That's the 200-day exponential moving average. So it would be the most long-term moving average on this chart. The yellow is 20 period. The orange would be the 50-day. So 20-day, 50-day, purple would be 100-day. And then the blue line would be the 200-day exponential moving average. So here we can see that we've essentially lost support from all of those, and we've got these sort of like micro trends here, which are also pointed in the downside direction. So, the broader trend is downward. The more micro trend is downward. We've got, a negative reading in the momentum indicator. We've broken through all of the exponential moving averages. I mean, all of this is just pointing in the same direction here. And I would have to argue that if you're going to blame, if you're going to assign blame somewhere, it would probably be in the other cryptocurrencies, because I would say for the most part this has actually held up fairly well. Solana has done a pretty good job here. When we consider the broader declines that we're seeing in Bitcoin. Bitcoin is a bloodbath, but Bitcoin is in major trouble. And it's been that way for a long time. And I've been talking about a specific level there that was going to break, and it did break. And really shouldn't have been a mystery that all of this was coming. But for the most part, I would say Solana has actually held up fairly well. This is kind of a newer emerging Bitcoin alternative and altcoin. So in many cases, those tend to be more volatile and less predictable and less stable, definitely less stable. But that has not been the case here. So if you are long Solana, this was not a terrible choice. I also do want to point to this, there's a bit of a trend line here. I don't like to draw these too much because it makes the chart a bit messy, but it's just another uptrend line here that's been broken to the downside, as we can see. I'll just kind of zoom in on that quickly. We have broken through here to the downside. We retested it from below and then failed again. So, these are all negative signals here. We really haven't seen the major price move lower, but when all of this points in one direction, I have to, start to assume that further declines are coming here. So, to the downside, as far as upcoming price targets, what we really have to do here is, the main level that I would be watching is this quadruple bottom. It's something that you don't see very often in the market. Usually a support level will break before you get to 4 times. And this held up 4 times. So, it's at the minimum, it would be the fifth test where a price break actually occurs. And who knows, we might even see a bounce at that point too, because it is a strong support level. Um, but if we do see a downside break here, you have to expect the momentum to start to increase to the downside. So at that point, we would have lost all of our major moving averages. We can't rely on those for support at that point. So kind of the only option that you have left at that stage would be Fibonacci retracement levels. If we do break through this, let's call it a 122 level. These aren't exactly the same price lows here, but on average, we're looking at 122. The next Fibonacci support level to the downside comes in at 113.62, which would be the 50% retracement of this broader move. So it's a bit lower, not too much further down from here. But the 50% retracement tends not to be as reliable as, say, the 38.2 or the 61.8. So, I tend not to, make buying decisions based on the 50% retracement. And if we do see a break below there, I would start looking at 90.70 as the next potential level to the downside. If we do fall this far, I would start to consider new buy positions, because you also have some historical support zones in this area. And more than likely, we would be trading in, fairly heavily oversold territory in the indicator reading itself. So I would start to look for potential buys here around 91, maybe 90.70 or thereabouts. But currently, I would not expect the declines to be stopping anytime soon, because they're really not going to be stopping in Bitcoin anytime soon. So here's the current market analysis for Solana, cryptocurrency ticker SOL.